one do you want to use to listen to this?
Sorry. Would you mind telling us a little bit why you have chosen Indie Novella, sort of why this feels like the right next step for you in your writing career as a publisher?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely will tell you that. I want to start, I guess, by saying that there are kind of issues, I think, with the publishing industry as it is.
Yeah.
I think it tends to be quite safe, perhaps understandably, because of given the fickleness of the market. But they will publish novels about subjects that have done well for them in the past, and there is this kind of tendency to you see it on bookshelves in bookshops. There's just a whole slew of novels that all look rather similar with very similar looking covers, and they tend to want to stick quite sort of rigidly to existing genre formulas, or they'll go for celebrity authors, which is always a sort of a safe bet, which kind of makes it hard for a new writer to with something original to say to break through. A similar issue with self-published authors. I thought that self-publishing, I was very excited about it at the about a decade ago when it really started taking off, because I thought this would be a chance for authors to really express themselves and do the kind of work that they want to do. And they won't have to go through the gatekeepers of the mainstream publishers. But I've spoken to quite a few self-published authors. In fact, there are some in the writing group that I'm a member of, and they've all said that they almost feel, it's a strong word, but almost sort of straitjacketed, I guess, by their own readers, in the sense that their readers are very, very demanding that they provide stories very similar to stories they've written before, and they find it, if they veer off course, then it sort of becomes they can actually sort of lose readers, and the whole thing can be financially inviable. It's also an issue for them that because all the marketing is there then, that they have to spend a hell of a lot of time sort of marketing essentially rather than writing. And so for writers who aren't maybe particularly into self-promotion, but who actually enjoy the process of writing itself, that can be a bit of a challenge. So that's the context, and into that scenario steps Indie Novella. Now, I was just so impressed from the very beginning when I got Damien's email, because they seem to offer a kind of third way, which is that they are really passionate about books, and they see the author and the book as sort of the quality of the story as central to the what they want to commission, much more than has this kind of thing done well in the past, or is this going to appeal to this sort of narrow range of readers, I guess, which they've done well with in the past. Now look, I don't know if it's going to work. It's very brave, and it's a wonderful approach. But I think that their attitude is just so in accordance with mine and what I like about books. So they've got a lot of their people are authors themselves, so I think that helps. They've got a not-for-profit cooperative status, which is fantastic. Then they're prepared to work with authors instead of going through agents. So that obviously helps for me. And I think they're also really interested, as I am, with new technology and new ways of bringing the way readers like to consume books. So, their readers you go format is perfect for people who, like to read off their smartphones, for example. And, I think we've got to, much as I love the traditional book, printed book, I still think we've got to sort of look at the way readers are consuming books, because ultimately we are storytellers, and the book is just the medium whereby we get the story to the reader. And I don't really particularly mind how they read our stories, as long as they're reading them. So in all those ways, I think indie novella are, are very exciting in their approach, and I really hope that they are successful.
Well, that's great to hear that your sort of your own ethos aligns with indie novellas in terms of the inclusivity, sort of giving a chance for everyone to read despite maybe their time constraints. So we're very excited to have you on board and to help you distribute your novel in hopefully the best way possible. Going back to a little bit about inclusion within the publicity industry, what do you think of that? So in terms of diversity and inclusion within novel writing and publishing, is there more that we can do to encourage new writers from different backgrounds as opposed to just the same old?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really important because, storytelling is universal. And I think anyone with a good story should be given the opportunity to tell it and to get published. And it doesn't matter what their background. And I think from my own experience in the publishing industry, it is a little bit middle class, a little bit white. It's getting better, I have to say, over recent years. But, that is a bit of an issue, because I think if you're from a different background, you might feel a little bit intimidated about submitting your stories or even taking up writing a novel. It might seem like not something that from your background, whatever you would normally do. And I think the more publishers can do to encourage people from different backgrounds, the better. Because I think, if you are, say, working class or from an ethnic minority background, and you start to see books of people like you, I guess, on the bookshelves in bookshops, then that's just going to be, it's going to encourage you, isn't it, to try yourself if you've got a story to tell. So no, I think that's a really good thing for publishers to do.
Definitely, everybody has a voice, but I guess it's up to publishers to sort of allow and facilitate those spaces to be made for people to share their stories. And in line with that, what advice would you give to these new budding writers? What tips or what kind of information do you think could be crucial to a new writer trying to start out?
Well, the first thing I would say is read as much as you can. I mean, that's what I did. I was a voracious reader as a kid, and you can, if you read widely, not just in your own comfort zone, but books from all different genres and different styles, you'll start to get a sense of the breadth of what one can do as a writer. And if you read analytically, so not just for sheer pleasure, but actually thinking, how did the author achieve that effect? Or, what was happening there that was so effective? You start using that part of your brain as well while you're reading. That really helps. And often, even if it doesn't work, that's as interesting as when it does, because you can kind of see the mistakes they make. Because sometimes you might be reading a novel and you're really enjoying it, and suddenly there's like a jarring moment, like you're lifted out of it, and you're going to think, what happened there? And maybe the character did something that you didn't expect, that wasn't sort of in tune with that character, or maybe the author started interfering too much and putting his own voice or her own voice into the character's mouth. So there are things like that you can learn just by reading. I would also say that you should try and write something every day, even if it's if you only have 10 minutes or you only have time to write a paragraph. Writing is a talent like practicing a musical instrument. You have to practice it, and it can, if you don't write every day, or at least as often as you can kind of lose some of that edge. So yeah, those are my two main pieces of advice.
great pieces of advice, definitely. And hopefully some budding and new writers out there will hear that and take that on board. And who knows what amazing works could be created. So thank you so much, Alex, for talking to us today. It's been really interesting to hear all about your new book, some experiences you have, and some tips you would give to future young writers. So thank you very much. It's been great.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. Okay.